Sleighs were made to protect people from enemies. People lived around the castles in towns. Who lived in castles? The owners were the feudal lords or the kings. They had servants with them.
All the lands around the castle and the people who lived there, the serfs, were from their property.
They had knights and soldiers, too. Knights wore armors and fought in tournaments. Soldiers lived in the gatehouse, and the archers defended the castle from the towers. There were other people in the castles, the fletchers, that made bows and arrows. The armorers, that repaired and made new weapons and armors. The priest, that was in the chapel. He could read and write. Few people could read or write in Middle Ages. The cooks, that worked in the kitchens. They cooked on fire. They made butter, cheese and bread next to the kitchens. They had bread ovens. The falconer, that trained the hawks and falcons to hunt. How did they fight? They had weapons. They had swords, axes, dagger and lances, maces and arrows. They also had catapults. They also had shields and armors. They fought on horse and on horse. How did they live? They lighted the castle with torches or candles. They didn't have water in the houses or buildings. They had to go for it. They didn't have a bath so often. They didn't have toilets. They cooked on fire. They ate on trenchers, slices of hard bread used as plates. They didn't eat trenchers.
When they finished eating, they gave the trenchers to the poor or threw them to the dogs.
They used their hands to eat. They used knives and spoons, but they didn't use or forks. They ate roasted meat, fruit and vegetables. They used honey to sweeten foods and drinks. They didn't have refrigerators. They preserved meat and fish. They smoked or dried meat and fish. They salted meat for winter. They traveled on foot, horse or cart. Serfs lived outside the castle. They weren't free. They worked for the feudal lord and couldn't leave the land. They were very poor. What did they think? In Middle Ages, kings and church were very important. People believed kings were kings because God made them kings. People also believed that the world was flat and that if you sailed too far you would fall off and disappear. They also believed that the earth was in the center of the universe. They believed in witches, dragons and goblins. They believed in wizards and magic. They were very religious. What did they wear? Kings and feudal lords wore crowns and colored silk and damask clothes. Feudal lords wore felt hats and woolen and silk clothes. Serfs wore straw hats and linen shirts and trousers. Clothes were rough and scratchy.